Before the billions, before the boardrooms, before the world even knew their names, they were thinkers. Not just dreamers. Not wishers. Thinkers. They trained their minds like warriors train their bodies, with clarity, precision, and unshakable intent. They saw the world not as it was, but as it could be, and they refused to accept anything less. You want to think like a billionaire? Then forget the money for a moment. Forget the jets, the media, the private islands. That's the result, not the origin. The origin is internal. Quiet. Violent in discipline. Obsessive in vision. It begins in a place no one sees, where the war between your current identity and your future self is fought daily, and only one survives. Because billionaires don't get lucky. They get clear. They don't follow the crowd. They follow truth, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's isolating, even when it means standing alone in a world addicted to average. Bill Gates once said, "Don't compare yourself with anyone in this world. If you do so, you are insulting yourself." That's not ego. That's focus. It's the mindset of someone who realized early, comparison is a trap. The real game is played within. And if you're going to win it, you must rewire how you think, how you move, how you respond to pressure, how you define success, and more importantly, how you define yourself. Because average minds crave validation, but billionaire minds create value. And the difference is the difference between a paycheck and an empire. You want to know the truth? The real battlefield isn't the economy. It's not the stock market. It's not even your business. It's your mind. Your thoughts are assets or liabilities. And most people walk around with bankrupt beliefs and wonder why success never shows up. The way billionaires think is this. They question everything. They challenge default settings. They don't just live by rules, they rebuild them. Every system you take for granted, from how education works to how companies grow to how technology connects, came from someone who refused to think like the rest. Gates didn't wait for permission to build Microsoft. He dropped out of Harvard not because he was failing, but because he saw a better use of time, a clearer opportunity, a deeper calling. That's what separates billionaires from the crowd. It's not just intelligence. It's not even money. It's the ability to see differently and to move boldly based on that vision. Let's get one thing straight. You don't need billions in the bank to think like a billionaire. You need billions in clarity, billions in focus, billions in intention. Because the mind is the factory, and your thoughts are the blueprint. If your blueprint is chaotic, scattered, self-doubting, reactive, then your life will reflect exactly that, no matter how hard you grind. But if your mind is disciplined, deliberate, and visionary, you could lose everything and rebuild from zero with your eyes closed. Because you've mastered the inner game. And once that's yours, no one can take it. Every empire is first built in silence. Not in applause. Not in the spotlight. But in lonely nights of obsession. In quiet decisions that no one understands until decades later. When the world finally wakes up to what you saw all along. And that's the curse of thinking like a billionaire. The world won't always applaud your early steps. They'll doubt. They'll laugh. They'll call it crazy. But the ones who build legacies, they don't need permission. They only need one thing. Conviction. Not borrowed confidence. Not Instagram motivation. Conviction, that sacred inner knowing that your life is meant for more than survival. More than opinions. More than fitting into someone else's blueprint. Because the truth is this. You will never rise above the standard you accept for yourself. You will never build beyond the level you believe is possible. And you will never think like a billionaire if you keep thinking like the crowd. So what do they do differently? They protect their mental environment like their lives depend on it, because they know it does. They don't just wake up and scroll. They don't let the news hijack their mind before breakfast. They curate what enters their brain like a billionaire curates investments. Only what multiplies value stays. While most people overdose on opinions, billionaires binge on insight. While the world is busy reacting, they are designing. They don't fill their calendar with noise. They leave space for thinking, for vision, for the unseen work that creates the visible empire. Henry Ford used to sit in silence for hours. Not laziness, deliberate incubation. Carnegie did the same. Gates famously took think weeks, unplugged from the world, locked in a cabin, devouring information, sharpening vision. Because they understood something the average person never grasps. Money follows thought. Not thoughtless hustle. Focused, strategic, expanded thought. So ask yourself, do you think like a builder? Or are you just reacting to life? Because most people are running someone else's program. They chase trends, mimic models, follow formulas, all while ignoring the gold within their own mind. They've never stopped long enough to ask, what do I actually want to create? What do I believe that no one else sees? Yet. And here's the paradox. You can't think like a billionaire if you're still afraid of being misunderstood. Because the moment your thoughts break from the crowd will break from you. And that's where most people shrink. That's where they abandon their genius to fit back in. But not the ones who build legacies. Not the ones who reshape industries, shift generations, rewrite history. They embrace the loneliness of their vision, because they know the crowd is rarely right at first. If the masses understood what you're trying to do, it wouldn't be innovative. If it made sense to everyone, it wouldn't be revolutionary. If it was easy to explain, it wouldn't be world-changing. Billionaire thinking is uncomfortable because it constantly stretches reality. It looks at limits and asks, who decided this was the end? It looks at problems and sees platforms. It looks at failure and sees feedback. It looks at time not as something to kill, but something to compound. Every second, an asset. Every day, an investment. Every thought, a seed. And here's the shift most never make. They trade speed for strategy. Most people want everything fast. Instant validation, instant success, instant results. But billionaires, they play the long game. Not because they're patient by nature, but because they understand leverage. They know that real wealth isn't built in spurts. It's built in systems. Systems of thought. Systems of action. Systems of belief. They don't chase outcomes. They build machines that produce outcomes. It's how Gates didn't just create a product. He created an operating system that ran the world. It's how Bezos didn't just sell books. He built a platform that redefined commerce. It's how Elon didn't just build a car. He ignited a movement around sustainability and speed. Because they weren't chasing a quick win. They were installing infrastructure into the future. That's how billionaires think. Every action must echo into tomorrow. Every decision must stretch beyond today's comfort. They live in a future most people haven't dared to imagine, and they reverse engineer it into reality. So where do you begin? You begin by getting violently clear on what you want. Not what sounds impressive. Not what others expect. But what pulls your soul forward like gravity. What vision burns in your mind at night when the world is quiet and no one is watching? Because billionaire thinking starts with vision. Unapologetic, unfiltered, uncompromising. And from that vision, every habit, every decision, every connection must align or be removed. They don't manage time. They master priorities. They don't juggle distractions. They eliminate them. They don't chase motivation. They install routines that make motivation irrelevant. And here's the raw truth. Until your discipline matches your ambition, your results will never match your potential. Until your standards rise, your life won't. And until you think beyond what's popular, you'll never build what's powerful. Billionaire thinking is a refusal to live on autopilot. It's waking up each day with deliberate intensity. It's staring down fear and saying, I will not outsource my future to doubt. Because here's the thing. If you don't program your mind, the world will. And if the world programs your mind, your life will be limited to what it thinks is possible, not what you know is.